Hello everyone, welcome to our course. I am one of your instructors, Sir Ced. Welcome to Logic and Critical Thinking. Let's discuss about concepts, terms, and definitions. So what is a concept? No? A concept is anything that exists in the mind of every person through sensual perceptions of anything in terms of its various characteristics or essence, which also includes something that is produced by imagination without necessarily holding its affirmation or denial. So the development of a concept begins by the person of John B. Watson. He is an American psychologist who stressed out the importance of the role of the environment in shaping the development of children. Many empiricists argue that the mind of a newborn child is a blank slate or tabula rasa, which means that it's empty, no? It is like a paper without something that is written on it. So it's really blank. Behaviors are associated largely to biological factors as well as environmental events. No? Both nature and nurture affects our human behavior over time. So also individual differences in our personality are also the resulting effects of the environmental factors, as how we are uprooted by our parents, as how we grow up. No? Culture also affects one's development, in our behaviors. A Swiss psychologist by the name of Jean Piaget proposed that the cognitive development of the mind and the origin of the human knowledge is very much important. No? If you know about Jean Piaget, he is the one who tried to propose the cognitive development of the human person, wherein we can connote that the simple concepts will be turned into abstract as a human person grows and develops. And these abstracts can become symbols, and from these symbols can turn into a hypothesis. From this hypothesis can turn into concept. Like, I will give you an example. A human child might connote happiness as having a new toy, playing with playmates, while a grown-up man might connote happiness as to having a lot of money, being happy in one's relationship, and being successful. So it will really differ and it will really matures over time, as how one can symbolize and understand these kinds of things. So these are the meaning of concepts. We developed how we interpret those definitions of concepts like happiness, joy, sadness, and a lot more. So let's go to the classification of concepts. As to sense receptive, first is concrete. Concrete is something that can be quantified to a certain extent, in which quality can be distinguished from another as a subject. So when we say concrete, it's something that is tangible. Like, for example, man, animals, color, distance. These are the things that can be distinguished as a subject. And it can be counted as well. So how many animals are in the zoo? How many men are in the forest? So it is most likely to be quantified than to be qualified or than to be described. Abstract is something that cannot be exactly distinguished from one another in some extent. Like, for example, darkness, sincerity, faith, respect. We cannot definitely see the meaning or the concrete representation of darkness or sincerity. We cannot count it. We cannot quantify it. We can just connote that the room is full of darkness. The man is full of sincerity. The woman has a lot of faith, or the woman has faith. So it's definitely abstract because you cannot really quantify how many. Okay, so as to the content quality, there are actually two types, collective and divisive. Collective concerns the mass or content of the object or anything as recorded in the mind. So as for the word collective, it is collective. It is collected. Like, for example, people, audience, team, panel, herd, ammunition, jewelry. It's like a group of people, a group of individuals. Constellation. We cannot just connote constellation into one star. So constellation needs a lot of stars for it to be considered as a constellation. Divisive stands for a single unit of the thing in the mind. So this is like a singular form. This he, only, is, cat, cow, me. So divisive, no, division. It is only a single unit, a person, no, a woman, a man. That is an example of divisive or divisive. As to referent, no, we can qualify or we can classify it into four, no, into three denominations or classifications. First is singular. Singular is extends only to a single or group of a specific thing or matter in the mind. Like a Philippine team, no? We are referring into this team, no? Set of numbers, Jose, a governor. So we can refer only to a single group of a specific thing or matter in the mind, while particular has no definite or determinate extensions of the meaning in the mind. So when we say particular, it's very specific. Some, many, few, most. So it is not really specified what is that thing, what is that concept. No, so it's mostly like generic, most. We cannot say, ano ba yung ibig sabihin ng most? Is it for the people? Is it for the animals? Few. What does it trying to connote? What is few? Again, it's more of specific. While universal provides many extensions of meaning in the human mind as a generic or holistic description of everything. Like for example, mankind, plants, animals, no? All ladies, logicians. So we are trying to denominate or specify, no, the existence of the whole mankind, the plants, no. It's not really specific and specify. Hence, it is more collective, no, collecting mankind, plants, animals, no. It is pertaining to everyone that exists in that denomination. Classification of concepts as to the sign. So there are two, affirmative and negative. So this is very quite simple lang or easier to understand. So affirmative indicates the existence of anything and it stands for positive confirmation or agreement. Like for instance, yes, true, agree, consent. There is. It's like there's a presence, no? No, there is an existence of something. While for negative, it denies or rejects the existence of a thing or subject. Like it's false. No, oppose, disagree, dissent. That is connected into a word that will interpret that there is no presence, no? Or it doesn't exist. That is negative. As to measurability, there are two, finite and infinite. Okay, infinite naman, ang finite stands in the mind as a thing or matter that is measurable in single unit. So it can be counted. Like animals, fruits, and houses. There are 4 animals in the zoo. There are 3 fruits in the table. While infinite stands in the mind as things or matters that cannot be measured to a certain limit. Like for example, sand. You cannot count the number of sand. You cannot count the number of stars in the galaxy. You cannot count the number of raindrops. So it's quite impossible for you to count them or measure them. Let's go to the properties of a concept. The expression of a concept depends on the 2 properties, namely comprehension and extension. We're going now into the properties, ha? So, comprehension is the ability of the mind to understand the meaning or features of the thing in its general perspective and not just one aspect of it. So, an example of this is man as a totality, as a higher form of animal. So, we're trying to understand and connote meaning of the man. Okay? We are trying to understand the basic meaning and features of that specific thing. General perspective. We're looking into that general perspective, not into an extended meaning or properties of the object. While for extension refers to the objects or things containing all the given features or characteristics that are specific. The many descriptions given tend to extend the mind into more specific or the inferior thing on the object that is being described. So it's really specific, and there are several types of extensions or can be extended or can be put or can be described into that concept. So we're trying to specify it more deeper, no? So that's that is the main difference of the two. Okay, so the example of extensions are riddles. So for riddles, of course, the riddles are not general in perspective. Like for example, I can protect from the rain. I have a handle. My name begins with a vowel and has three syllables. What am I? So as you can see, it's not a general perspective. It's an extended meaning of the object or concept being described here. So this is an umbrella. No? We're trying to look into, like, for example, here, the functions. There are also the properties of the object. What does it look like? And the word, no? We're trying to look on the syntax of the word of the umbrella. Also an example of a riddle. I am in the sky. I appear when it rains while the sun shines. What am I? I am a rainbow. So in this example, we're trying to look into different properties, extended properties of the rainbow. Okay, so it's not in a general perspective, like for the comprehension. All right. Another example, I am part of the body, I am above the waist, I am where the beards grow, my name begins with the letter C. What am I? So the answer is chin. I have legs and a back, I am not alive, you can sit on me but I am not a sofa. What am I? Chair. And a lot more example. Let's go to Phantasm. This is the last one. Phantasm is a mental process of creating a picture of the percept that contains its description within the limit. So, this percept may be the same, but the phantasm may differ depending on how many times it comes to our senses, given the different conditions in time. So, this is like an illusion. Okay? One object may be described differently when placed in two or more differently environmental conditions, such as in experimental studies. Okay, two or more similar objects may have similar characteristics under similar conditions but may differ as to the number of time it comes to the human senses. I will give you an image of an example. So look at this picture here. So you can see that there is a lever that continues on the staircase. But as you can see on the other side, it's quite weird because, it exists on the top portion. And it cannot happen, or it is not plausibly or realistically possible for this thing to exist in our reality. So it's quite weird if we see it in a more general sense. But if we see it on the other side or on the other perspective, then we can see that it is more of continuous. Another example is like this, no? It creates an illusion that it's quite moving, but in reality, it's not really moving. But if you see it on a different lens or in some other time, no, you might have a different impression of this picture. Another one is this one. You might see that there are three persons, no? You might see that their height are different, are not the same. But if you can look on the picture, it's like lowering or parang bumababa siya. So, hindi tumataas yung height nila. Again, it can be different to different people on how they interpret this image. It's abstract, okay? And that is the end of the presentation. I hope you've learned something, and let's go to the next part of the lesson.